Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to do some more or less technical resin pours, and I'm just gonna, do random resin projects that have been on my mind for a while and I wanted to do for a while, and I do them all in one video here. So I mixed up a huge bulk of resin, and I'm going to start out with some white in one cup, and then I'm gonna mix like an orange with a little bit of yellow to brighten it up, and some golden orange mica pigment to give it some shimmer, and a little bit of yellow glitter just to have the flakes in there. And these are gonna be alternated. I wanna do an alternating pour because I always love how the swirls appear. Now the white is gonna be a little heavier, so I hope it will drag it down and really create something fun on the sides. So this is what I'm starting out with, and I decided to use this star pencil holder mold for this one because I thought it would just look neat. And for the next one, I actually want to finish off a project that I started with leftovers, which is this heart. Now, what I did was, when I had leftovers, I had a white and then another colorful color before, and I just mixed that color with some black, in this case matte black and matte white. They don't look that matte in this resin, but you can kind of see that the colors are a bit more grayish, especially in the back, but they're very potent and nice colors. I think they're oil paint based from the smell and look of it, and they work amazingly. They're very, very pigmented. So I just poured the heart, and while I was waiting for the bubbles to rise, I mixed up another batch. And this one is gonna be another container. I wanted to pour this container a second time since I last did this. I can't remember if it was in a video, but this was one of my very, very first things I got as a mold from Sophie and Toffee. And it was this beautiful Sakura container. And I always wanted to make another one because I love mine so much, and I decided to go with these pastel colors, so alternating pink and yellow. And of course I had some leftover pours. Now the one thing where the video started cut off, and I had resin gloves, so I couldn't really press record on my camera again, was I actually did swirl a little bit through the white and the black for the heart, but we shall see that once I unmold this. First of all, struggling to unmold the leftover eggs. The first one actually looks gorgeous. I love how the gold kind of fell with the black and the white. The second one, very unimpressive. It had way more color, but besides a little bit of the gold on the tip, there's nothing to see. I support this little paw. There were some black marks still left in the mold, but that's totally fine. It still looks really adorable. And as for the Sakura mold, look at these cells. I think they look so cool. Now, the resin, as I mentioned beforehand, I like to unmold it when it's still a little soft, so I don't have too much trouble of molds being stressed out too much. It definitely deformed this container a bit more since the walls are thinner, but just a little bit of reshaping with the lid on and then after on the table actually worked out really well, and once it fully cured, it fully worked out. The one thing that always was with this container is that the lid is a tiny bit smaller than the actual container thing part where it lays on, but that's just inherently from the mold, so it's totally fine. As for this one, this looks stunning. It almost reminds me of candle wax. The bottom sunk in weirdly, although it didn't with the other molds, even though it was the same resin, so I'm gonna have to refill that. I wonder what happened there, maybe a bit too much heat, but else it looks absolutely amazing. And as for the heart, you can kind of see a little bit of the layer lines between the pores. I suspect that's mainly because the other color had some, the other black had some other colors in there, and I guess I didn't quite hit the white. But look at this cool effect. The inside from the first over pour left these white speckles, almost like snow, and where I mixed the middle, it also really capped the colors. I know that both of these pigments are quite heavy, but I didn't expect them to stay so perfectly in their own places. Usually these move around a little bit, especially since the resin moves a decent bit while it's curing due to the exothermic reaction. Now I have one more last project I wanted to do, but for this one I needed the storm on, and I'm going to use totally unrecognizable, non-branded pencils here. Definitely not sponsors nor affiliated. I just had a friend whose parent worked there, and I got a ton of these from them because they always got them as like an art tool. I used like a ton of them already, but I still have like mountains of them left. So I decided to use them for this project since I didn't have small colored pencil that I wanted to waste. Like all the colored pencils I have are kind of more expensive brands, so these will have to do. Plus I can be more custom with the colors. So I guess you already caught a glimpse of my idea here, and it's basically to make a rainbow of colors from these pencils and put them in a mold and pour them with some clear resin on the top, and then cap the bottom off with some black, because yeah, when I saw them in half to like make them fit, I really didn't feel like sanding them, so black resin will hide that. You know, it takes some work, and also I think like another pop of color to like separate them will help. So what I did was I used some acrylics and painted some layers on them. In a gradient, I am going to go over the purples a little bit more since they didn't have that much variation. And then I just sharpened them to make sure that, you know, the edge is a bit cleaner, because I clearly overpainted them. But it's totally fine. It's gonna like make them, I guess, a bit more pointy, and yeah, it's gonna help out with the like typical like pencil coating shape. And then I pour some clear resin that I let sit for a while to make sure there's no air bubbles, and I'm trying to like organize these pencils to where like the logo indentation is on the inside, so I don't have, you know, the branding like show that much. And it was so satisfying to put them in here. Like they fit perfectly in this mold, and the gradient just looks so nice. Also, I know that they're gonna have the like typical like gray color pencil tip, but I really didn't care, like since the rest of the colors are so vibrant. If you use colored pencils, of course you can negate that, but again, I used what I had leftover wise, and honestly, most of these that I actually sorted out, they don't write that well. Like it's almost as if the like lead, it's not lead, it's, you know, the like piece inside that makes them pencils, the like nib, is like, I don't know, weirdly unmixed or like hard. It like has hard chunks that like eat away more at the paper in like some of them, instead of like properly like, you know, actually writing. And again, as I said, I have more than enough, so I really don't feel bad about this. If I would do this again, I would probably get some really cheap colored pencil from like the dollar store or something, and those I could probably like cut into multiple of these and pour multiple. But as you can see, all I'm making sure is that the sides are covered, and then I let it cure for the first clear coat, and then I pour the black, and here's the result. Some of the pencils did shift slightly, but that's totally fine. You know, the mold was not 100% designed for these, but I still think it looks really cool, and the clear definitely helps with this. Now, one thing I noticed is there are some LEDs like looking out the top, so I needed to like sand them down without sanding them down. So what I actually did is I used a piece of notepad and I just like put it on top, and yeah, and basically like rubbed on the nib until like the pencil marks disappeared, so I knew it would be flat, and then I added like tiny drops of varnish on top, just so it wouldn't like, you know, color anymore after. And another thing you can see is kind of that the black sunk in a little bit. I did pour enough resin initially, I thought, even when lifting sides, but there must have been like some air gaps that rose. I still think it looks amazing, but yeah, it's definitely like pulling up the sides a bit strangely. In a way, that's basically everything I did with this amazing resin pour adventure. I had a lot of fun, and I think the results speak for themselves. All of them are amazing, maybe besides that one leftover pour rack, but the rest I think worked out pretty much how I hoped they would, or, you know, as much as you can predict certain mix of like resin pours that you do. But yeah, overall, really great pieces and very useful pieces. I love pouring like containers and things like that because you can actually use them and put things inside them and enjoy the resin pour. Don't get me wrong, I still like the artistic ones, but these are just, at the moment, my favorites. And of course, as always, my hope is that this video inspired some of you to maybe try out some similar techniques, or just inspires you to do another resin pour in general. And I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below which ones are your favorites, and maybe, you know, which color combinations are your favorites of all of these. And also let me know which types of mold you enjoy most. Like, is it animal or cube molds, like decorations, paperweights, functional things like I just poured? Any of these kinds. And of course, as always, I hope you have a great day. See you next time. Bye bye!